It's just like $50 million for those who you guys should be aware by now. That was what proposed to John
Going
Tory.
to police.
Going to the police department.
Police, especially in the world right now where people are freezing their backside.
Backside
People are
for those
calling police or people are tweeting like, hey, there's a person here freezing at the, like, outside.
Right.
Madness.
50 million.
And I don't know. I don't like getting into conspiracies.
But get into them.
Okay. Yeah, might as well.
You might
Since we're here.
was
It was one of those things that you find out, like, what type of foolishness John Tory is about to do. Then you find out that 50 million people go into cops. Now, as much as people don't like cops, I don't. You like cops? Any of you guys like cops? I like cool cops, but okay.
Yeah, I like cool cops, but like the
ones that been bullied as a child, so they went to law enforcement to try to...
That is quite a stereotype. But continue.
You know what I mean? The ones that been bullied as a child and now they're a cop. It's like, you tell me what to do, pal. Respect my authority. You know what I mean?
Authority.
You know what I mean? You know, there's this feel like because they got a gun and a baton, they can
abuse their power.
treat anybody any type of way. But yeah, he wants more of those. And maybe
Not more.
It's how I just said though.
I think it's more like, I think like when I think about it, I think about they want more street lights tickets, more tickets, because I know they made bank. I know they said, you know, oh, your renewal sticker is free, but of course it's gonna be free if how much of people were getting speeding tickets on the thing. You know how much money they made off of tickets alone, and it's not even like it's like we don't care about.
I heard a number like I think last year 2 billion.
2 billion speeding tickets were issued?
Yeah, off the speed traps.
Like the so the speed traps in the city, 2 billion was made. That's
there was one,
and there's more being put up like everywhere, right?
There was one on Jane and Lambton. I remember I got tickets on ticket, and it's behind some shrubs, bro. It's behind some trees, Bridget. You don't even see it.
That's that camera. Once it flashes your plate,
you're done.
You can't fight it. Yeah.
So, and the worst thing about it, some of those tickets they come like 4 or 5 months later, and then it's like you see the picture, it shows the back of your car and everything, your license plate, and then you're just like, man, I didn't even know if I drove that car. Drove the car. But so so I guess they're gonna put money in that.
50 million.
But it's probably not actually acquiring more police officers.
It's technology.
Yeah, it's probably technology, getting more body cams, for example, getting more dash cams, you know, maybe upgrading the vehicles, also whatever softwares that they need.
I don't think they need to upgrade vehicles. They're driving in Chargers.
The Ferrari engine.
I mean, we never know it.
Like, you're already fast enough, man.
And if anything, it might be other departments within the police, police enforcement that also are going to be hired, not the policemen themselves.
So more like internal.
Yeah.
I don't co-sign that, especially like, so I don't. But another thing, like I realized is like when people were like outraged at that, it was just like, they probably, you know, if you watch Scandal or like watch those like shows where they show how the marketing works for people and stuff. They're probably like, hurry up, quick. We need an explanation of this money and where it's going to go. TTC.
Wow.
TTC, as much as millions and millions of people go on to TTC, it's safe to say, is it safe to say that like TTC was already not really the safest thing? You just have to act accordingly?
I feel like it was always safe.
Crazy on the train.
It's a good question, but no. COVID uptick something though. I gotta be fair with that. Something about COVID it upticked.
People started to get back social and it's like, I hate you all. And then just madness.
That was aggressive.
Because
it's like the uptick just. The uptick. It's more upticky right now.
Yeah, like a lot of scarcity mindsets, a lot of fearful mindsets, a lot of, isolation issues, a lot of social issues and social cues.
Right.
What else? mental health.
Once that woman died by being set on fire, I was like, okay, that's a whole.
That's set on fire. For me, it's the violence starting young now. That's what I'm concerned about. There was that whole group of girls that came and killed a homeless man.
I'm not sure if that was like. I think it happened years ago. I don't know how early that was.
No, that was very recent.
Was that very recent?
Not this year. It was very recent though. It was like
before COVID or after.
This is like literally last year.
Like recent.
You didn't hear that story?
I heard.
It was like 8 girls.
Yeah, they
12
stabbed
to
the
15
guy for his liquor or something like that.
Madness.
It is madness. And then like
my first question is, where are the parents? That is my first question. Number one.
You know, when you ask that question, people go,
they don't know what to say. I think parenting has dramatically changed nowadays.
Yes, they have.
It dramatically changed. Like, I don't want to segue, but I was talking to my brethren about certain things. And I thought about, like, you remember as a kid, how, like, parent-teacher interviews was scary as frig if you weren't, like...
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have your grades on par.
Mm-hmm.
The other section.
I don't know if people have to deal with that situation when you're in the table with your teacher and your parent.
Mm-hmm.
And the teacher is saying that you have not done your work. And the parent says, my son told me he's doing his work.
Mm.
And they go, well, your son's right here. How about you ask him?
Mm-hmm.
That's a RICO. That's like a confession table. RICO.
Those are the worst.
The worst.
That's not there. No, once high school happened, yeah, it's just they're like cease.
I don't know if they.
Not for me.
Yeah.
I know. Well, no, cease meaning like you.
That interaction.
The interaction, like the confession table with the teacher, your parent.
Parents are still doing that to this day.
Mine's more at home after high school.
I hope so. I just feel like a lot of these kids they're kind of mad, like they're mad, but. I think at the same time, yes, there's a lot of mental illness that's going on rampant.
Increased.
But like, I feel like being on the TTC, like, you know, we all have been on TTC before. Like,
especially for those listening, once you're at the blur line and you're going down, man, you got to be like, yo,
vigilant.
You have to be.
It's like. I think we need to give ourselves credit to the fact that we were numb to a lot of craziness. In a sense, like...
Craziness is the right term.
Okay. Mental illness, I would say. Because, like...
Mental instability.
Some instability that became a norm, like on 32 bus. You've seen a lot of crazy things on Eglinton West or on the 32 bus.
You know what? 32 has been tamed for a little bit.
It's been tamed, but like us as kids.
But growing up.
Or like growing up...
Was it the bus or is it like the street, like the area?
I feel like it was a community of just, like they all played a role. If the crazy man's on the bus or the crazy person's on the bus. I don't know if I should call him crazy, but you know, what would you call it? Dysfunctional or like what would you call it? But
high needs.
Sure. The person that needs help on the bus or off the bus.
Right.
And if you weren't the person that knew how to help that person, you would either do not lock eyes with that individual. Like as a TTC train on the train, you've learned to not lock eyes with someone going nuts on the train.
Yeah, this advice is just.
You know what I mean?
This advice is just wild. But you got to follow it.
Like especially when like nowadays the train is like one long run.
Yeah.
Sometimes I remember when there's madness on one train, you waited for the next stop, and you hop into the next cart.
But now because it's open concept.
It's an open concept.
What's good in a way? What's it called? The blower line. The blower line still has the old school like jump cart to cart, which they call it the poor line. I don't know why they call it that because like most of the working class people is on the green line.
That's not nice.
So they didn't give them the upgraded trains. It's an urban legend. But the university to Young is the extended open end train. So someone's sitting on the train stinking up the place. You can't escape that smell for at least, according to my research, 3 carts. 3 carts going left. No.
Either direction.
Either direction. You can't escape that smell. Before, if you're on the blower line, you can just be like, nah, this person smelling like
walk down a little bit more.
You can walk down a little more.
Walk to the end of the line.
Or hop the other cart.
Or if you see some madness at the end of the line, you're like, okay, we could time it that we could go to the other end of the line. Or jump out and then wait for the next train.
That's what I'm saying. Or if you're on the Borough line, yeah. But if you're on the University Young, which is like the most common, it's like, yo, there's something.
But at one point,
you can't escape it, yo.
I don't.
If someone goes full Predator 2, the sci-fi movie, where the Predator jumped on the train, you guys watch the movie, it's a classic movie, and the Predator just starts unloading on the train, you can't dodge those shots. Unless the train is turning.
The train is turning.
Like, you can only do that. Like,
but for me, the irony of the whole situation is just, as soon as people try to understand why the cops were funded that much, it was like, this happened on the TTC, that happened on the TTC. But
like they reported it more.
People reported it more, but it's like, you hear a lot of things happen on TTC. When you hear certain delays on the TTC, most of the time something madness is happening.
Fire at St. Clair.
Fire at St. Clair. There was some crazy, there was some madness that used to happen before.
Track
like
injury.
Man. Remember the Doodle Man? They were around bucketing people with doodoo.
That's a tale. To me. That's a tale where, yo, for those listening that are not from Toronto, yeah, there was a guy literally like having buckets
in a hard hat suit.
In a hard hat suit.
Just feces
of his own. So he looked like he was working somewhere, but it's like you don't know what's in that bucket, man. You don't know. You don't know.
Terrorizing the streets.
Yes, walking around.
Terrorizing the streets.
Dumping it.
Terrorizing the street. And how do you even... Feces. I don't even know how... I hope those guys got seeked help and whatever they had to deal with, it's terrible. But like, a lot of things happen on TTC that probably was just not put out there because it's a common thing. And then next you know you see...
It's a yo.
And then you see like the photo shoot, like... You see like photo shoots with the cops, like the Toronto Police, sir, we got you covered. You see them. There's one where you see them post up on the pillar on a train station.
It was a good photography shot.
It was a photography shot.
It was color.
With the train flying on the other side.
It was color graded. They had focal point. No, like it was
focal points and thing. I feel like they need to find a way to make the funding. So let's just hope that the amount of TTC cops, cops that they're funding this for, if it's technology, if it's more to, I hope that if it goes the way it goes, I'm assuming that every train, every bus, every streetcar, and every station has at least some cops on there.
We don't know.
At the same time,
I don't. It'll be there for a little while, like up until like my prediction up until like April.
They're gonna have
when the weather gets better, and then they're gonna.
They'll probably consider them the transit commissioners at that point.
Right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just hope that they. I just feel like, as you may know, there's a lot of things that they should put that into, like housing.
I was going to say, like, where would you feel would be better suited for this $50 million, aside from the police enforcement? What other industries do you think Toronto specifically would have benefited better with the use of this money?
For me, I think one, for sure, housing.
Housing, yeah.
Two, for sure, health. Like health, for me, when it comes to like health and nursing and hospitals and stuff, like nobody should be in a merge for that long. Especially when you're paying your taxes.
Okay, but the reason for that is because Canada doesn't pay their staff as good as the Americans.
Which I believe they should.
They should, yeah.
Which I believe they should.
That's why some of them leave. They're like, yo, I'm going to Texas.
I believe that, and that's the thing. The thing about in the States, what I know, based off what I've seen.
Yeah, tell your tale.
Certain things, like, because it's paid for or whatever, you have to pay for it. Like, you need a surgery. Mm-hmm. You ain't waiting that long. Like,
it's like okay, we're here to see you, Z. It's like,
as long as you pay for it, you're gonna pay for it.
It's expensive.
You're gonna get it. Yeah, expensive, but it's done. Mm-hmm. And you're telling me here, people are paying for this. They're paying for the sitting, and then you'll find out certain things are not covered anymore. And it's like, you didn't tell me. And then you find out that, there's a waiting list and all that stuff. And I understand it maybe because of the staffing, but pay their staff. Mm-hmm. Especially the way I see it, all those people that work during COVID deserve a bonus, not just to be on a Timmy's Cup to celebrate.
Right. No, yo, that is.
You know what I mean? Those guys, they were going through everything to keep the infrastructure of pandemic virus that nobody knew that what it was and what it did. Putting themselves on the front line and their families on the front line.
Right.
And then you want to tell me you're cutting dollars from them? It's like, for me, and then it's like, I always hear this whole theory of they're just trying to overload the healthcare system so they can privatize it.
Which, yeah.
But I feel like if that's the case, then why would people want to even live in Canada if that's
the case?
If that's the case, I mean, that's a good.
And our healthcare is not the same anymore. Our public housing, a lot of things are just not the same anymore.
Like I said in the post, I said Toronto peaked from 2015, and people were going like, yeah, it peaked. That was the peak. That's the peak Toronto, and it just went.
It's like Toronto housing has been chaos apparently. The hospitals.
You gotta pay $3 for a patty.
Some people don't. Some people.
I remember when it was $1.
What?
And you get to buy you use another $1 for a pop, a patty and a pop, $2.
Inflation is madness. Loblaws said, you know what, we were freezing it, and now we're not.
Well, they ended up getting. Well, I think from what I understand, there's a whole suit against them.
$250 for a patty.
Because people had lobbied against them for their price hike. And they said that the prices were gouging the actual consumers. But they were like, these prices are actually made up. There's no way that you can be charging this much, and this is acceptable.
Especially with the, it was a while back with the chicken thing. They're like,
yeah, like $33 for some
thigh.
Oh
God.
For
thigh and a drumstick.
I'm not gonna lie.
But it's competitive pricing.
When I work up,
Who are you competing when you basically own everything? Like,
when I worked,
yo, Shoppers Drug Mart, no frills. Jeez, Loblaws themselves. Superstore.
But this is the thing. What I noticed.
That's crazy.
If you like I worked in one of those stores, and I remember back in the days when you're putting the sale tags on, and it'll say this thing was on sale. Let's say $3.99. What was the regular price already? $3.99.
They restick
You just put a sticker on top, and it's like, oh, $3.99. Sometimes some people just have to lift that sticker if they let you. Hey, stop! But lift that sticker and see how much the price originally was, and then check the flyer.
My mother would do that.
The flyer will say that it was $5. No, it wasn't. It was $3. But then it says it's $2.99. Okay, 1 cent difference. Okay. I guess. I guess if you need it, you're gonna buy it.
See, ironically, 2015 was the time I'm like, I was starting to plan to like go to the States, but then dude gets elected, and I was just like, whoa, slow down.
Slow down. Oh, Trump.
Oh.
And then you have Biden that looks like he's just falling off bikes and things, dropping downstairs, saying if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Like,
that's so problematic. I don't know why this man still won after that statement.
It's still on the Breakfast Club. It's still on the webpage.
Someone should have called that out and said that was racist.
They probably did, but
they ain't listening.
They ain't listening. When you have Donald Trump saying some just as much madness, man took off the mask during COVID, knowing he had COVID, wheezing. He had COVID. He said, I don't. And the man's just.
That was the strangest thing.
You ever see someone that like?
So strange.
You ever see someone that segue? Let's put it like a TTC. You ever see somebody run for the bus on a TTC, catch the bus, and then when they get on the bus, they're still out of breath, but they're trying to hold it together on the bus. Now walking through, out of breath, just hold the pole on. You know what I mean? So,
yo, that's visual.
America,
that's visual.
It's a madness. So let's just say, at the end of the day, everything's going downhill in Toronto. Housing, the neighborhood, healthcare, Toronto men, Toronto. I've seen a lot of Toronto men slander. I've seen a lot of things lately, and it's just like, man, can't we all just get along?
Yes,
we can.
And then I seen like,
y'all gotta apologize first.
Oh, okay. You know what? That's for another pod. That's for a whole nother pod.
So what are you saying, to apologize? Okay.
Apologize first. I didn't even do anything.
I didn't do anything.
What
Okay.
is this?
I guess it's a part number 2. I didn't do nothing. But okay, what was I saying? You know what I've been seeing a lot about? Passport bros.